Hey y'all, it's Allie, and I know it's been a little bit since I said I would tell y'all what has been going on, some story time, and basically why I left Patreon. Basically what it all boils down to is the reason why I have had an absence on YouTube, and I will give some disclaimers later too, but just to kind of give everyone kind of a picture of what's been happening the last 3 years of my life, because I think that I started my channel in like 2015, I think, July. I just remember I was super skinny, and there's a cat playing in a box outside and lots of construction happening next door, so I'm gonna try to focus. And I took notes so that I would be succinct and not waste your time. So many people have heard this story, but I'm gonna make it super quick. I was a photographer. My husband and I felt like we were supposed to start a house of prayer in our city, and we sold our home and we moved into a church. We have another video called Why I Live in a Church. Oh, hold on. No, it's called Wait, what? You live in a church? And so we live in a church, and we explain why we live in a church. So if you'd like to know that, you can go to that video. That is where we started the San Antonio Tabernacle, SA Tabernacle House of Prayer. At the time, because we were living at the church, we were only being charged, I think it was $100 a month to live in 2 old Sunday school rooms. There was no bathroom. I mean, there was a bathroom available. We had to walk all the way down this hallway to get to it, but there was no bathroom in our little apartment thing. There was no water, running water. We had to be very creative with how to cook, with how to clean. It was intense 2 years of my life. I felt like I was an urban missionary, is what I call it. So we were at the church, and we only had to pay $100 to live there, so we didn't really have to make a ton of money for like groceries and bills, because we didn't have, trash. We didn't have to do electrical or anything like that. We just had to pay for our internet and cell phones and groceries. Really, those were kind of our only bills. I mean, we had a little debt to pay off too. It was a blessing to be able to start the ministry without having that pressure. My husband was in his job for, I think, like 8 or 10 months. I can't remember. It was almost a year. And then a year into starting the house of prayer, he decided to leave his job. I told him that I would take that weight and earn money so that he could focus on building the prayer house and building the ministry. And I was totally cool with it. That's what we were gonna do. And I was excited and happy to do it. My photography was getting going. It was exciting. And so that's what happened. I was like, cool, I got this. The photography's good. What happened was I posted a video in July of 2015 of my Mr. Darcy Shakespeare. That video got so many views. I posted it in the Shakespeare Facebook group, the one way long time ago. I think now it's the unofficial page, I think. That was where I've gotten to meet most of y'all who have stayed on my channel, is from that video. It was like a long time ago, and people were like, please make more videos. And I was like, okay, this is fine, I'll do it. I had the gear, I thought it was fun, and so I did it. I realized that I was making about a video a week, is because it was One Book July, and I was giving a weekly update on my setup and everything. It was new to the Traveler's Notebook world, and it was just very exciting for me, and my photography was doing great. But then I realized that there just wasn't enough time to do both the photography and grow that to be a growing, thriving business that would help provide for my family, and do YouTube, because YouTube don't pay, okay? It doesn't. I have ads, but for reals, I don't know how many subscribers now. I think over 27,000 or something. And I think I make $50 a month on ads. If you can believe it, it's true. And you see all these people like, here's my YouTube ad check and $600. I'm like, girl, where are you getting that money from? Because I don't see it. I don't know why. I think it's because I've been dormant for a long time is why. I made a lot more at the beginning, and there was some crazy, anyway, I'm getting on bunny trails. Reel it back in. I had to make a decision. I either could monetize what I was doing, the planner, journal, art, world, or I could just say, I can't do it anymore, and then focus on my photography. Well, since we were in a position where it wasn't super critical, we needed the money, but it was like, not as critical, I was like, you know what, let me try monetizing the YouTube stuff. And the way that I monetized it was by joining Patreon. I learned about Patreon from a really good friend, Elijah. It was hilarious because he told me about it and I had a page up so fast. Elijah never got one. He just never got one. And it's actually a good thing because now looking back, I can tell him like all the things. So he's doing something different now. I decided to join Patreon. It grew and it was such a blessing. It was a wonderful blessing for my family because we were able to have some income to cover the things, to pay off debt, you know, to let my kids go see a movie. And we just don't do movies. We don't do extra stuff because we've never been able to. It's like a real treat when my kids can get shoes when there's holes, like their toes are poking out the side of their holes. I'm not trying to like get people to feel sorry for us or anything, but it's just we have learned how to live with not much. It was a blessing to be able like, oh, I can buy my kids shoes when I need to buy them shoes. And then we were forced to leave the place that we were living because the people who owned the building reneged their agreement with the pastors that let us stay there, and they sold the building. They needed the money. They sold the building. So we had not much time to get out. And we were so thankful because we had already started looking for a place. We were so thankful that we were able to get into this apartment. It is affordable housing. It is based on income and all that. So we were perfect candidates to be in this apartment complex. Because we had a rent though that was 9 times more, almost 10 times more than what we were paying before, I really for sure had to build more, market more, offer more, step up my game with Patreon. Now with Patreon, the way that it works, if you don't know what it is, it's a subscription plan kind of thing. That's how mine functioned. So I had like different tiers, and then depending on what you signed up for, you would either get just pictures and blog posts and encouragement and stuff, or you get all of that plus the printable, or you get all of that plus 4 videos a month. And then I had like zines for a while, and then I stopped those because that was not sustainable. And then I had hangouts for a while. That was not sustainable for me. I was learning. I had a big learning curve on what I could handle. And then I had like a Happy Mail, which I quit, and then I had 3 people stay on it. A lot of content being, and when I say a lot, it's a lot for me. You have to understand too that I'm a leader of a ministry. I am leading people. I am homeschooling my children. I am just doing housewife, mommy, wifey stuff. You know what I mean? This is all in addition to all the other things that I do. So all of this stuff was kind of like pushing out this content. And then my ministry, our ministry is getting bigger and bigger. More people are coming. There's more people to lead. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the sphere of influence that I have in my real life, like real life, y'all. I love being able to connect via YouTube platform and Instagram. It's wonderful. But I actually have real life people face to face in my life, lots of them, like lots of beautiful people that I engage with on a daily, weekly basis. So these are things that are for real happening with the amount of content that I was pushing out, plus the growth of the ministry, which is the first priority above any of YouTube, above anything. That is my heart for what we're doing here in San Antonio. That comes before. So it was growing, but the Patreon having to grow because of our financial situation and David needing to continue to build, it was getting way too much for me mentally. Let me look at my notes. Let me see if I'm doing this okay. Yeah, story time. Okay, we're doing story time. February of 2018, I kind of had a breaking point, and y'all saw that I had back in 2017 when I was traveling for the ministry. There was another ministry I was traveling with. Y'all saw that I had pulled way back on videos. I was not doing videos weekly like I used to. I had to do that though because I had a moment of clarity where I knew that I just could not push out videos once a week on YouTube and Patreon and do both the ministries I was doing in 2017. So I pulled back off YouTube, and a lot of people got mad about it. And you know what? I'm sorry. I want to apologize to the people who felt that I abandoned them for Patreon. It was just the circumstance. There was just not enough bandwidth. There wasn't enough to do it all. That's all I can say, is it was not enough memory, however, whatever analogy you want to use. there wasn't enough. I had to make decisions based on what was best for my family. I wasn't even thinking at the time about me. I was just thinking about my ministry and my family. That's 2017. In February 2018, I told my husband, I was like, listen, we've got something great built here. I need to back out. I need to back out of Patreon because this is not mentally good for me. That was the choice that I made at that point, that I was like, okay, I can't sustain this anymore. I just can't, because again, ministry's growing, more people are coming that I am engaging with, and he agreed, and he was super, super thankful that I had taken the responsibility of providing for our family for 2.5 years. And I mean, he did contribute for sure, like he did, but like I was kind of the main income person. And so he was super thankful, which was wonderful. And I gave him a timeline. I was like, in a year, I'm going to be quitting Patreon. And so he had in his head a year to kind of, start raising some support and stuff. I was already at my point and then I had to do a whole year. So it was really, really hard. And I know there was a few people on Patreon that could tell that I was extremely strained, that I was spread too thin. They could see it, and I tried to remain positive, and I did. I actually did remain positive to the very end, y'all. I gave 100% to Patreon. Ask my patrons. I believe in December, they were so sweet to me. So sweet to me. I still get emotional about it. They gave me the month of December off as a gift. So I got to keep all the pledge money, and I barely did any content because there was a poll that was taken, and the majority, there was only a few people that did not want me to take December off, but they gave that to me as a Christmas present, and I can't even it was so sweet. So sweet, so kind of them to do that. In my heart, I purposed in my heart to make sure that I finished well and I finished strong, and I made my announcement the middle of December that I was leaving Patreon the end of January. There were some other elements about Patreon that I was like, kind of annoying. Like, for instance, I basically tithed to Patreon. They take about 10% of your earnings, which is a lot. I mean, I'm thankful for the platform, but for how clunky it was, there was a lot of people that had problems with the site and navigating. It was so hard. Someone would message me and be like, hey, remember that video you did with blah, 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 blah? And even for me to go back, the best way that I found to do it was to go by, I think it was around August of 2016, and I would go to August and I'd have to scroll and try to find it. Oh, it wasn't August, it was July. And so, it was just like super clunky, not easy to navigate. I used tags religiously in all my posts because that was the easiest way for me to find things and for others to find things, which took some time and organization and just remembering to tag things. The fact that it was kind of clunky for how much they were charging, I don't know, take it or leave it. Also, there is something about, and someone mentioned it to me, someone said it perfectly. I can't remember who said it to me, but they said, I thought that Patreon was more like a PBS kind of thing. You are supporting and being a patron, which is a person that supports you because they want to support you. She's like, I thought it was like PBS where you give your money and yeah, it's great if you get something. If you don't, then you love the person and you get a little bit, you get what you get, you don't pitch a fit kind of thing. That's what she was saying. But she's like, I'm realizing through many people that I've seen, and I know James had one and he gave his thoughts on one. I know in our general community, I think the Courtney Diaz has one. There's a couple other. I know Bree had one for a while from Documented Journey. What she was seeing from all of these different creators was that people were treating it like HBO. Like, this is my subscription. This is like, I'm paying for a service, and if you don't provide when you provide it, I'm mad. And that really is exactly. Now, I'm a person of integrity, and when I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. And there was maybe I can count, probably 2 hands, less than 10 times in the 2.5 years that I was doing it that I had to ask for grace and extension of something. I tried to be very realistic with what I did, but it still was too much. Not very many times I had to ask for grace on a printable deadline or whatever, but people would kind of get upset about it. Some people, not all the people. It kind of got stressful when baseball season and having a hard time, and I never went to House of Prayer other than our weekly service on Saturdays. I never was able to go during the day ever because there's just too much filming, editing, photo taking. There's too much replying to comments, all sorts of stuff. It is a job. Like, I treated it like a job. The one thing that was super frustrating at the beginning was that there would be people who would pledge to me and somebody else and then compare me to that person. Well, you don't treat it like a job because you don't offer 7 pages of printables. I never said I would offer 7 pages of printables. I said I'd offer you 1 page of printables, and if you didn't like it, you didn't have to pledge to me. Those kinds of situations often would come up, and it was super frustrating because everything was laid out very clearly on the creator page, like at the very beginning, and people would pledge and then be like, why am I not do like this person? Because I'm not that person. Because I homeschool my kids, because I have a ministry, because of blah, 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 blah. I could probably like kick that dead horse forever. I'm not gonna do it anymore. All of that to wrap up, it wasn't sustainable. And at the same time, I had goals to grow as an artist, to grow as a business person, but really as an artist to grow, and that there were other aspects of my life that were being put on the back burner because I had to spend so much time on Patreon. For instance, I sing, I play instruments, I write music. That is part of my life that's so special and important to me, and I was not able to have any time for it because of the schedule that I'd given myself from the very beginning that I needed to follow through with on Patreon. I also love photography. I want to still do photography. There's no time if I'm stuck, with all of these daily deadlines. Monday through Friday, I had a deadline every day. There was just other things that I want to do and grow in. Patreon schedule did not allow me to do that. I don't want to stop making videos. I do feel that my videos have value. What my goal was and what I told all my patrons, Allie Brown's not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. But it's just gonna look a little different. I feel like I've kind of gone through this transformation and transition, and I wanna be more intentional about it. Like, there would be times, literally, I'm just gonna be real honest, because creators can procrastinate, but it'd be, Tuesday, Wednesday, my videos due on Thursday, and Wednesday morning, I'm like, rushing to see what I can do, what can I put together, taking pictures, putting it on that day, editing real quick. But it didn't feel as intentional to me towards the end because I was just so tired. I was just honestly tired. Moving forward, I'm going to be offering classes on my website. I already have Plan Your Piece, and I am working on I Am a Scribe right now. I have so many class ideas that I really want to give time and attention and love. I want there to be beautiful details, like James's stuff from the first to the end. He'll give you like beautiful brochures you can print out and all stuff. I don't know if I'll ever be that amazingly ultra. I definitely want to give more care and attention to what I put out. That's what I'll say. I have a Joy Notes class that I want, a little mini-year class. I'm thinking about even doing something with gestural figures and correlating it with body positivity, basically, and like healing, how healing it can be to draw figures and my story, just sharing my story, I feel like that has value because I do still need to contribute to my family's income right now. It was a huge leap of faith to leave Patreon. It was very, very much a financial blessing to be there. And so we've definitely felt that disappearance. But you know what? Riches isn't always in dollars. I have so much less stress. I feel so much more alive. And I was supposed to take February off to just have a reset month. And my Joy Journey kit came out for Illustrated Faith, which was so much fun. But because of the traveling to Israel, traveling to see Jen, the Joy Journey kit coming out, and all of this stuff, it was just so much activity, even though I wasn't on Patreon. And then my face-to-face friends here were just like, Allie's available. And so everyone wants to hang out and stuff. And I was just plumb worn out to where a couple weeks ago, again, I had a close call kind of with mentally, and I needed to like, whoop, I gotta take a step back, and I did, and I took 5 days off completely, did not even worry about anything, did not go to house of prayer, I didn't even worry about making any art, I just had to be. It was really, really good, and I feel so much more refreshed now. But that's kind of like where I am right now, is that I feel like there's so much that I can share, but when I overwork myself, it doesn't get shared intentionally. That's kind of why I left Patreon, is that I felt like it just wasn't sustainable for me and the growth of my ministry. It had some clunkiness in there. I so miss some of the little faces that I would see, the circles that would comment. There's so many people that I miss engaging with, but you know what? Those people are still engaging with me on Instagram and Facebook and through Instagram stories. Again, I'm not going anywhere, and I comment back and I say hey, and I'm like, well, how are you doing? That's why I left, and I'm feeling super hopeful. This is a season of grace for myself. To disclaim to you now, I'm not promising weekly videos here. I wish I could. I feel like I'm being called back to the beginning, where there was no strings attached, there was no expectation. This was something fun for me to do. And so I was super inspired and excited, and just posted videos that really brought me joy, and you could feel it. I think when it became a job, you could start seeing my light dim a little bit. But I don't think it ever went away, but I mean, it was a little dimmer. That's what I'm promising you. What I'm promising you is that from here on out, if a video goes on this channel, it's because I was so excited to share it with you. It brings me joy, and I think it'll bring you joy too, not because I have to. I know that the people here that are super caring about me as a person will totally understand and support me. I would love to be able to do a video a week if I could. Maybe that'll happen, maybe, but I'm just not saying what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm gonna do a video every other week. I'm gonna do a video every month. I'm not saying anything, because again, that puts a pressure on it. Oh, I just had an epiphany. It's the pressure. That is what dims the light. I don't want to feel that anymore. Nobody likes to feel that, right? Nobody likes to feel that. So I'm not gonna feel pressured anymore. I'm just gonna float on with things and share what I want to share. I want to apologize right now to anybody who expected me to be here as a presence on YouTube more now that I'm off Patreon. All I can say is that I have to do what I know feels right for me to do right now, for my mental health, physical, and for my family. My boys, they so are craving my attention right now, and I love it, and I don't have much longer with them. It's super important for me to be available for them, to go fishing with my oldest, to just be able to talk deep conversations with my youngest. He's such a thinker like me. It was a hard decision to make, and it was extremely stupid looking financially, but I'm so happy. I'm so full of joy and so full of hope for the future, and just feel authentic again. Does that make sense? Like authentic. Authenticity is super important. I got emotional. I'm sorry. Ugh. Okay, y'all. I've been blabbing way too long. I will talk to y'all later. Thank you so much for understanding this crazy journey that I am on, still on. I just got off the Patreon road, and I'm going on another road now. So it'll be fun, and I hope you stick around to see all the fun stuff that will happen, because if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be fun. All right, y'all, I'll talk to you later. Bye.